Welcome to the Gifters Podcast. I'm your host, Christopher Kai. This podcast is sponsored by the GPS online program, which Forbes has stated helps entrepreneurs become professional speakers. For more information, go to christopherkai.com. Our next guest is Dr. Sharon H. Porter. Dr. Sharon is an educator, an author, an entrepreneur. Dr. Sharon, thanks so much for being on Gifters Podcast, where your story is a gift to the world.
Thank you so much for having me.
So I love the fact that you have this amazing energy. What are you most inspired about talking about, Dr. Sharon?
You know, I would definitely have to say publishing books. I have turned into a self-publishing consultant, and that's right now what I'm most excited about, highlighting and getting aspiring authors published.
That's awesome. I can second, third, and fourth that, because at one point I did help clients publish their books. I've worked with about 30 books. I've written 5 of my own, so I can definitely attest to that. So for all the people listening, writing a book is definitely one of the most important things to do in life, whether you want to be a speaker or not, because if you're an entrepreneur, if you are a person with a story, you definitely want to share it, and it sounds like you, Dr. Sharon, helped them with that. Now, how many books have you written, and what inspired you to actually help your clients write their own books and publish their own books?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have written 5 books, and most of them are collaborations, which is what I specialize in. And the initial reason was simply because I was invited into a collaboration book for my first time authoring, and it just gave me a feeling that I've never, ever experienced before. And so I just vowed that I would love to share that feeling with those aspiring authors so that I can break those barriers if they are hesitating of writing their book, and just letting them know that all they have to do is write the book now, which is, my platform that I use in order to help those self-publish.
Yeah, and again, I can't stress that more for anyone that's a coach, consultant, and executive. If you want more clients, when you have a book in your hand, it just is a conversation piece. Because what I find is that so many people are just frankly boring and not interesting, no matter how amazing they say they are. But if you say, oh, hey, I'm Christopher Kai, I just wrote a book on, it's called Communication is King. Immediately, I want you on my show. I want you to speak. And so
Exactly.
I want our listeners to know that though you're providing this service, I want them to know from my own personal experience how powerful it is, where though I wrote my first book 17 years ago, my last one I wrote about 3 years ago, I knew that when you write a book, you can change your careers, you can change your business, you can get a much larger profile. What are some examples of your clients that you've helped, Dr. Sharon, so that our listeners can really understand how powerful your services are?
Absolutely. And so my most recent one, and we actually just hit #1 bestseller for Amazon. She is actually just a lay person. She's not an entrepreneur. She's a compliance educator for a hospital in North Carolina, actually. But she had a story to tell, her life story. And one of my specialty is nonfiction for me. And so she just wanted to share her story. And I was just so excited to be able to do that. I've also helped coaches. I also help entrepreneurs to share their expertise through writing. But it's really the layperson that just want to share their story. They've been through a lot, but they've conquered, they've triumphed, and they just want to share it and let individuals know that they too can go through the storm and come out victorious. And so that's where my passion lies.
I love that. I want to point out 2 specific things. One is when you want to find someone to help you, you really want to find someone like Dr. Sharon, who's actually a cheerleader, in that like her tone of voice is enthusiastic, she's genuine, she has experience from the educational standpoint, but also experience from clients, so that you can easily go to find someone perhaps that has the skill set, but they're not a cheerleader, they're not enthusiastic. And why wouldn't you want someone like you, Dr. Sharon? Because it's like life is hard enough. If you don't have someone being like very supportive, it just takes away from the energy of the book, because I meet people that might have the skill set, but they just sound boring and they're just not very interesting. So you want to just stress to our viewers that you have this great sense of support, which is so important, because writing a book is a very vulnerable space you have to be in. It's a very sensitive space to be in. So unless you have someone like you, Dr. Sharon, it's hard to really open up. So I want to just stress that one point with our listeners. The second point is relative to the publishing. You got your degree in educational leadership?
Educational leadership, that's correct.
So can you perhaps share with our listeners, what is that about? Like, what does that entail, and what do you feel that helps you with in terms of building your own business, in terms of that understanding and that education?
Absolutely. So I am a edupreneur, educational turned entrepreneur, and my main job, my professional 9-to-5 job, I'm a leadership development coach for a large urban school district here in the Washington, D.C. area. And I coach novice principals and assistant principals in developing their leadership. First and second year principals and assistant principals. I was a principal for 9 years in the elementary, middle, and charter schools areas. And so now I have the distinct privilege of helping mold our most youngest, as far as experience, years as leaders, because we know that every great school has a great leader. You cannot have a great school without a great leader. And so those same skills that I use to help develop those principals and assistant principals, I've actually transferred to the entrepreneur and author space. So that has helped me help those individuals that, again, are emerging entrepreneurs and aspiring authors, because you must lead wherever you are. So it doesn't matter the field. So the skills are definitely transferable.
Yeah, and so we have a lot of people that might be listening who maybe are not entrepreneurs, and they want to be. So in your case, you're an educator. You do a lot with education, which is phenomenal. What do you encourage and suggest people that might want to take the lead to be an entrepreneur, or even writing a book? Like, what do you feel they might need to hear from you?
Absolutely. You first need to research what you're trying to do, whether you're trying to start a business, which is where I help mostly educators jump into that entrepreneur space. You want to definitely research, because we know that having a business is not just a hobby. And so you want to make sure that what you are jumping into is going to be profitable for you, because no one really has time or the money to just waste to start something that no one's going to really invest in. So do your research. Have a business plan. I cannot tell you how many people go through their business, don't have a plan, and then end up having to go back to do a plan because they see without a plan, there is no vision. And so you have to have a plan. And then thirdly, I would say get a mentor and a coach. And I say both of them because they are different. You need a mentor that is doing exactly what you've done, what you're trying to do, actually. Someone who can help you with the pitfalls, the challenges that you may face, and help you avoid some of that. You're not going to avoid all of it, but at least the major ones, they can help guide you through that. And then a coach, a business coach. That is one of the things that I did not do in the beginning, and I wasted a good 2 years. And so I just told those three things: research, have a business plan, and invest in a mentor and a coach, definitely.
I couldn't agree with you more. Again, everything you said is so important, because, again, I'm telling you from actual personal experience, whether writing books, writing 5 like you, and then with coaching the mentors, like when you look at athletes, there is no athlete you could think of ever in the world history that didn't have a coach. So we all see athletes, whether they're basketball players, football players, skiers, whatever it might be, tennis players, Olympians, they all have coaches. But when you talk about business or entrepreneurship or a career, they're like, oh, I don't have money for a coach. I'm like, well, then you don't have money to succeed, really, because
exactly.
The unfortunate reality is we've been told and taught since we were kids. And I mean, you're an educator, but there's different ways to be educated, right? So obviously there's a traditional school system, but you kind of have the balance of both, or the blend of both, frankly. You have the best of both worlds, where, yes, education is important in the traditional sense, but you also want to supplement that and complement that with actual coaches outside, because the more practical they are, the better results you'll get. So I just really appreciate you being on our Gifters podcast, Dr. Sharon. What's one final piece of advice that you might want to share with someone that's super, 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 super hesitant about writing their book?
Absolutely. And the best thing that I can say about writing a book is to start. I hate when someone says, I want to write a book, but no buts. Write the book now. All you have to do is start. Journaling is a great place to start, because you can sort, you can theme, you can put together later. You just have to put your thoughts and your ideas down. So that would be my one piece of advice for anyone aspiring to become an author, is just begin writing. Everything else will come later. The editing, the sorting, the chapters, the title, the cover. Just begin writing.
I couldn't agree with you more, Dr. Sharon. Thank you so much for being here for this podcast, for your stories get to the world. How can our guests stay in touch with you, Dr. Sharon?
Absolutely. At I am Dr. Sharon, and that's Dr. Sharon across all social media platforms.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Again, have a great day.
Thank you.
The podcast you just heard was published with Anchor. Got something you want to say to the creator of this show? Send them a voice message using the Anchor app, free for iOS and Android.